Hi everyone, Coach Sullivan here again with MGS Coaching Football. To my subscribers, I thank you, and to non-subscribers, I really hope you do. Just completed my 38th year coaching. I was a defensive coordinator, but over that time frame, I've also been an offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, a longtime head coach, and all of this at both the collegiate and high school levels. What I'd like to talk to you about in this presentation is one of our 3-4 3-deep rotational coverage variations that we call white, because it's the whip who's rotating down, okay? And so over here I have the key terms that I will bring to life over here in the diagrams, okay? So the first key term is, since this is a 3-deep, it's a zone, is the surface. There are normal reads. So surface for us is offensive tackle to offensive tackle. So everybody except an outside linebacker who's on the tight end, that's his world, they're reading the surface for run, pass, or direction, okay? So number 2 here, the rotation, we rotate opposite the pass strength of the Liz or rip call. So if it's a Liz, we're rotating to the right. If it's a rip, we're rotating to the left, okay? So number 3 is what we call the match side. That's the outside and inside linebackers to the Liz or rip. Okay, so the match side is opposite where the safety's rotating. So number 4 is what we call the hut side, which involves the safety, in this case the whip, the outside and inside linebackers on the side that he's rotating to, okay, which is opposite the Liz or rip. Okay, and all of this again will be brought to light over here in the diagram. So number 5, on the hut side, they play what we call a hut technique, which is man coverage with zone leverage. So what our 3-deep coverage variation, in this case white, is it combines our match quarters principles with our zone blitz principles. We combine them together into one coverage, okay? So therefore, number 6 then is the whips technique, the safety, which is what we call a screw down, which is toward the line of scrimmage on the snap of the football. We don't tip our hands. So non-subscribers, right, I hope you push the button, but our alignment is our disguise, okay? So as the whip is screwing down on the snap, he's reading the surface on the way. So if it's run, he stops screwing down and fits in to the run, right? Simple as that. And letter B, the angle that the whip screws down to is the near hip of the number 1 outside receiver. So we'll bring all of that, again, to light. And I even have a 2-man route concept on the top and bottom, 2 different 2-man route concepts to show you how this works, okay? So number 7 is our thirds technique for the 2 corners, field and boundary. All right, so as usual, go back to number 1, surface. Their technique is surface to number 1. So if surface shows pass, then their immediate thirds threat is number 1. Okay, then they will tempo number 1 on a vertical. If number 1 is not vertical, then they tempo scan for vertical threats inside. Okay, so one of the pass route concepts, 2-man pass concepts down here, will force the corner to do that on both sides. Okay, and I'll even tell you what tempo means when we get to that portion of today's presentation. And then the not last, but the last player position, the free in number 8, is middle third technique, since he's the one spinning in the direction that the whip is rotating in. Our safeties spin together. All right, he's going to rotate again on the snap, reading surface on the way for the same reason as he's starting to rotate. If it's a run play, and let's say it's a trap up the middle, he's going to stick it in the ground, come down and fit in on the run, right? He's not just blindly rotating. Okay, so if it is pass, if that surface is showing pass, then we want him to be at 20 yards. We're not asking for a lot since he starts at 12. Okay, so we're not asking for a lot, especially since you got to get into your crossovers. All right, there's a landmark for the middle of the field. There's a landmark when ball's on the hash. Not a big difference as to the landmarks, as you will see, okay, in the presentation. And then when they get to that landmark, head on a swivel, reading quarterback indicator, breaking on the offhand, right? He is a middle third zone defender. So it combines our match quarters principles with our zone blitz coverage principles with our third principles, and that applies specifically to the three deep defenders, the two corners and the safety rotating middle. Okay? And then the last one, which is huge, is route communication. Route communication. Okay? Especially the outside third defenders, both corners, communicating if number one goes vertical and all of a sudden at about 15 or 18 bends inside, he's got to communicate that. We just say dig, 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 dig. One word. Okay, dig, 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 dig is more of a bending route. Excuse me, a post is a post. Depending on vertical threats, an outside corner might carry that, right? So it depends. So those are the key terms that I will now bring to light over here. All right? Excuse me. So when I get to the offensive two-man route concept, I'll draw what their route is in red. The coverage on the defensive side, I'll do in black. So in this particular diagram up top, middle of the field, it's an 11 formation, gun Dallas 2x2. On the bottom, still middle of the field, it's a 10 formation. We call gun Detroit, again, 2x2. I'll just tell you now, this is good versus all personnel groupings, okay? But it's much easier to explain and show visually when you have 2x2s, one back sets, okay? So up top, it's a rip. This is on purpose. So therefore, it's going to be a Louis. On the bottom, it's a Liz. Okay, so it's opposite, so therefore it's going to be a Roger. Remember, rotate opposite the Liz or rip. None of this is an accident. Okay, so up top, start with the 11. Since it's a rip, Louis, 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 okay, that means the outside and inside linebacker are both hot on the left. That means the outside, inside linebacker are match, match, match on the right. So we should hear that. Hot, 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 match, match, match. That's it. That's all they have to say. Hot, 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 match, match, match. Okay, so now on the hot side, okay, the outside linebacker is hot on number 2. Okay, it is going to be orbit on both sides, which means even if 2's not removed, both outside linebackers have force. Okay, the inside linebacker is hot on the running back, which means key rush. I'll explain that in due time. Okay? On the match side, the inside linebacker, number 2, comes in. He takes him, which is his match quarters rule. If 2 doesn't come in, we teach him to just shuffle, eyes on 1 to see if 1's running a curl. If not, we'll teach you what happens. The outside linebacker is going to expand. Again, I'll show you this versus the route concept. Number 1 comes in, he takes him. Again, that's what he does in our match quarters. If 1 does not go in, he stays in the flat. Okay? So let me first draw up the route concept, Oklahoma, and then I'm going to teach you the techniques for the 2 corners. Okay, very, very important. The techniques for the 2 corners. So the route concept, Oklahoma. Okay? We have a vertical by number 1, and we have an out anywhere from 3 to 7 yards by number 2. Okay? It's the same on both sides. Okay? So now, first of all, right, before I get to the corner, the safety on the snap, screwing down, landmark is that near hip of number 1. So he sees number 1's going vertical. He's going to do his best to try and cut him off. And then he's going to run with it. Okay, he's going to have what we call wall. which means inside leverage, and he's going to do his best to stay in phase, which means hip to hip. Because, now let's talk about the corner. Okay? The corner. Surface. Okay? He's read surface on his way to number 1. So we'll say the surface is showing pass for everybody. Boom. Right? We just keep this simple. The corner. Surface shows pass. Starts off with what a quick zit and what we call walk, pedal. Walk, but the boundary. As he's walking, his eyes go to number 1. Remember, surface to 1, right? Right now, we're down here. Surface to 1. 1 is vertical. He now tempo's number 1. The faster 1 is, the faster the corner is. If the corner has to get out of his pedals and get into his crossovers, that's what he does. So what ends up happening on the side of the whip in this case, right, it's Louis. The corner matches the tempo of 1. The corner carries, which means outside leverage, dominant on top, upfield shoulder. So we have the corner on the outside, dominant above the upfield shoulder. We have the whip walled on the inside, hip to hip. So that vertical is double covered. The ball's not going there. Okay? Up top here, the rover always knocking back. He's hot on number 2. He hears pass. He cuts and stays with the outer number 2. The inside linebacker who's hot on the running back, no matter where the back goes, he has the coverage. Let me talk to you here about key rush. If the running back were to fit in protection, it's just say he inserts himself into B gap. What's meant by key rush, remember this 3D coverage variation combines match principles, zone blitz print, right? Well, even the hot defender follows his match quarter principles, which means when you got the running back, if he's blocking, you add to the rush. Key rush means blitz the open gap. We're not teaching anything new. That's what they do in all of our match quarters. And obviously, if the back makes no effort to block you, you stop, retrace, it's a screen. So that's the hot side. Okay? Over here on the match side, the corner technique's the exact same. Surface to 1, surface show pass, starts walk pedal. Now it's tempo on 1, 1's vertical. So he's carries, right? Same thing, carries, outside leverage, dominant on the upfield shoulder. He's by himself, though. So now we work to our match defenders, right? He reads surface, it's pass. He expands out to 1, which is what he does in our match quarters. 1 is vertical. He continues into the flat. He has a flat route by number 2. He expands on it. Okay? Here, outside inside linebacker pivots. 2 doesn't come in. 2 goes out. So he just shuffles, keeps his eyes on number 1. We say be patient. When it's obvious to him is what we say, that 1 is not going to run a curl. Then you pivot back and mirror the quarterback. We don't just tell the match side inside linebacker, race out to the curl. That's a spot drop. We don't spot drop. We let the scheme tell us where to be. If 1 is gone and he's not going to run a curl, then we'd rather the inside linebacker pivot back now and mirror the quarterback. Be another guy in the box. So if the running back's in protection, it's a 6-man protection, then we'll have both inside linebackers along with our defensive line available to handle the quarterback. See what's happening? It can become a 4-man rush with a mirror spy quarterback behind the whole thing. Pretty cool. Again, that's based upon the scheme. And last and certainly not least is that rotating safety, in this case the free. So when the ball's in the middle of the field, we say we want you rotating, reading on the run. They're showing you pass, get a 20, balance up, and then your landmark is wherever the quarterback is, that's where you are, opposite the quarterback. And then you are very slow pedal, head on a swivel, listening for any route calls from your corners like dig, 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 or post, 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 right? But meanwhile, you're reading this. And as soon as that front hand comes off, that free is breaking in that same direction. Okay? He's got a good jump on the football. Okay, but we never break until the front hand comes off the ball. Okay? So there is cover white, meaning the whip is rotating down to number 1 on the snap of the football. So now down here, right? That was cover white versus Oklahoma. Down here, we'll show you cover white versus what we call Florida. Okay, again, this is a 10 formation. It's a Liz, so it's going to be a Roger against middle of the field. Okay? So now, again, ball snapped. So the whip rotates down. Okay, there's that near hip. Now this time, what Florida is, it's the smash concept. So on both sides, it's the smash concept. So now the whip rotates down and sits on top of that hitch. Okay? Over here, rotate in middle, same thing. I'm not going to go into the same amount of detail as far as technique's concerned. Okay? So now, here's the difference, right? Go back to the corner technique. We handled surface to 1, tempo 1. 1 was vertical. There it is. Now, 1 is not vertical. So tempo scan for vertical threats inside. Okay, so here it is. He's sitting on the hitch. Walk pedal. Now, you're going to get your eyes on 2. You're going to tempo pedal based upon number 2. So if he's fast, you're fast. It's the same technique, except it's against number 2. Okay, so now you're in the position, you're in the dominant, you're obviously carrying because you're well outside of number 2. When the corner breaks, look at the leverage you have on that corner route. Oh yeah, plus the corner, right, looking over his outside shoulder. Woo! But that's what the technique is. That is scanning inside for the next threat. Okay, so over here, it's going to be the same. Tempo, he's not vertical. Match the tempo of number 2. Corner comes to you. You're outside in on it. Again, that guy's looking over his outside shoulder. It's a thing of beauty. Okay? So let me come back over to here. So now he's reading, right? Let's have the surface show pass again on both sides. He's hot there. He's going to try and cut him off. He's going to wall it. And he's going to stay with it. So we have double coverage on this number 2 here. Okay, he's going to wall it. He's going to try and be in phase, hip to hip, like the whip was up here. Because you don't know he's going to run the corner route right out to your corner. You don't know that. So you want to be in phase, hip to hip. So that's how that's taken care of. Again, over here, hot, right? If the running back, let's have the running back actually run a route this time. He runs a flare route. Now, in this case, the Mike linebacker goes and gets it. Okay, he goes and gets it. Over here on the match side, he expands. Number 1 may not be in, but there he is. You head to the flat, and that's the exact same thing that the outside linebacker does even in our match quarter. So there's an easy. Again, see, no new real teaching going on here. He's reading number 2. 2 doesn't come in. Okay? He doesn't have to last long with number 1 because he's sitting in the hitch. So it's going to be a quick back here. And again, mirror the quarterback. The scheme tells him mirror the quarterback. We're not spot dropping. That's a waste. And now plus you wouldn't have anybody to spy the quarterback. Okay? So there's the same coverage, cover white, versus a different pass concept and a different formation group and personnel, 10. So as I said at the beginning to my subscribers, I thank you. Non-subscribers, I hope there's a lot going on here that you're like, wow, I got to find more about this. So you push that subscribe button. It's free, right? Doesn't cost anything. To everyone, if you have questions, I hope you reach out to me at coachmjsullivan@gmail.com. It's starting to happen. I'm learning football. I know people on the other side of the street are learning football, and I thank YouTube for this platform so we can all do this.